holidays. So today's video, we're gonna go over bicep guard. It's gonna be a long video, but I'll put some timestamps so you can see what move starts at what time, so that way you're not just continuously rolling through the video trying to figure out where we're at. So the bicep guard is really good. It's basically a finger four grip for controlling someone when they're in your guard. Regardless if you're not very good at doing arm bars or doing triangles, this is a good position to lock the person down and prevent them from breaking out of your guard. So first, let's go over the grip and how it works. All right.
Can they see that pretty decent?
Okay, so what we want to do is sometimes, especially if they're up like this, we're going to use a ratchet motion. So a ratchet motion simply is I'm just constantly turning that elbow, all right, until it's pointed outward. Now, once it's pointed outward, I can slip my hand through, okay? Now, I can catch the inside of his elbow with my forearm. That's a very strong point, but that's not how I'm gonna create the lock, okay? So I wanna make sure I get this arm across, and I'm gonna drop my other elbow across his and lock up a finger four grip, all right? Just like I'm doing like a rear naked choke grip, okay? You may find yourself doing this sometimes with your hand way up on the shoulder. It's best to have it down here on the tricep because it's gonna allow me to always torque his elbow out. Remember, the more his elbow's away from his body, the weaker he'll be, okay? So I don't wanna lock this grip up and him be tight like this, okay? Because he'll have more power. So regardless of where his hands are at, even if he's playing low, I can keep torquing, and as you can see, it starts to bend his wrist, all right? So it'll slightly start to feel uncomfortable. You won't get a wrist lock, but it'll be so uncomfortable he may move his hand for you. He's obviously not gonna put his hand here, because that's not smart. But he'll do this. And that may also allow the slip, okay? So as I slide through, I'll create my finger four lock, hand over my bicep, hand over his tricep. In an ideal situation, I would want his wrist in my armpit or anywhere on the floor. A lot of times, we may find ourselves where he's fighting really hard and I can catch the inside hand with his and use that to pry it open, okay? There's no right or wrong except for the initial ending setup to where I'm like this. Now, can you see how my elbow's not trapping his hand? That's still a tight grip, but it's not sufficient. So he will be able to wiggle his arm out eventually or straighten it. If he straightens his arm, then I'm going to lose the position. So what I can do is suck him in with my knees, okay? And use this elbow to find that wrist and pull it until I have it trapped down here, okay? Now, once that's locked in, you can begin to start your attack sequence, all right? First thing I'm gonna do is I'm always gonna keep my knees pinched as much as possible. I prefer to not put my feet on the mat. And I'll use my hamstrings to wiggle until I get my feet on his hips. The bottom leg, the knees on the inside, the top leg, the knees on the outside. There's really no right or wrong, but this is the ideal position to start with because I'm beginning to stretch him out. The more I stretch him out, the more it puts more tension on his arm and he can't pull his arm back out, okay? So let's back up a little bit so they can see better. Once we obtain this position, a couple of things can happen. One, his hand's posted right there, right? Because he's trying to keep his base, especially if I turn him that way. The more he posts, I bring my inside leg out, lift my hips. I'm lifting my hips by putting my other foot, which is already on his hips, up. And then I can lock my triangle in. You can finish your triangle from this position, or you can go traditional. Okay, once again, let's go from side angle like this so they can see it a little better. I Ratchet the elbow open, ratchet it open, come through, lace everything together, get that elbow pinned, and then start working my way down. Once I get to that position, I'll torque it hard. He posts, that foot comes up. This foot is already on the hip, remember? I'm gonna lift up to shoot my hips in, and then lock my triangle. Remember, point your toes up and then squeeze your knees together. All right? So that's triangle number one. The other option is they're gonna be very strong and they may not base their hand on the floor. If they do, they put it on the floor and they bring it back up and they'll put their hand on top of your knee or the inside of the thigh, okay? So, same situation, ratchet it out, get the grip, lock it, get myself into that position. Okay, now he does this. So what I'm gonna do is, as I lay on my right hip, I'm going to come over, bring my foot out, and drive my knee across his forearm, breaking his grip off my leg. I'm now leaning to my left. I'm then going to release, trap the head, and come back to the right and lock up that triangle, okay? So, as we get into this position, he starts pressing down. I'm gonna come off my right hip, and come to the left, and pop his grip off by simply turning my leg. He could also come out, and I could break it like this with my foot, then drive my knee across. You have to break that arm and trap it down. Then shoot up, boom, catch, and everything comes back up, all right? So that's your second triangle. First one, they will post onto the mat. The second one, they're holding on to your thigh, almost trying to press it open like they're still trying to create a knee cut pass, okay? So, a lot of people are really beginning to study the back systems and attacking the back. So this is a very, very good position for actually getting to the back. So I'll show the arm drag situation. So as we get into the ratchet, we'll do both sides, we'll do a couple angles. So I'll ratchet it out, I come in, boom, catch, all right. And maybe I get to here and I feel a little bit uncomfortable. Now, I do have other options, but let's say he hugs my knee this time, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to release this top arm. That means the underhook is still in there. And for some time, I can hold that pretty tight, okay? Even with one arm. So I'm gonna release the top hand, and I'm gonna swim it under his arm, like that, all right? At that point, I'm gonna just turn my hand and pull up. Now, my foot's still on the hip right here. You can come all the way up and trap, seep out, break the person back down, and take the back. Another option you have is actually trapping a low body triangle. So as I get into this ratchet position here, I release that top hand, I weave in like this, and I'm going to kick to help momentum and pull his arm across. I'm holding on to his arm. You see this foot? I come up and I grab my ankle or my shin. And now I can simply, which you can't see, block his foot and pull him down and take his back that way. But I've got a body lock. So let's go from this side so they can see it. Even though we're black on black, doesn't help. So I ratchet everything out, boom, come in, I catch the lock. I'm gonna weave my hand in, okay, and catch the back. I'm gonna lift up and come up like this. All right, so that's the spot you were seeing missing. I'll grab the ankle. This foot will block his foot here, and I'll scoot so I can pull him in and then take his back. All right, so I know that was kind of a poor angle, but that's the best I could do to show it to you without someone walking around and videoing it for us. Your next option in the bicep slicer is, there's a lot. There's an arm bar, but if we roll, you may miss the footage. I might need someone to hold it. Let's try the leg. Let's try the leg tack system. So, here. Okay, so same thing. We get our figure four grip, bicep lock. Okay, we're in. All right, we walk ourselves out. So something happens. We didn't stretch them out, or they're just kind of hip to it. So they take that inside knee and they post it up. All right. Now that's going to be a problem because as he sits back towards his heel, his arm will begin to straighten, and I can lose that position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bottom leg, and I'm going to do my best to lace it through the top of his hip, like that. And we'll try some different angles so you can see it. Then I'm going to take this leg on top and come under and hook it. All right? And while I'm holding here, I'm going to lift up so he posts like that, which means makes his legs light. And I'm going to slide it on and catch right here. And from here, you can go to heel hooks, straight angles, whatever leg attack system you like. But now we're getting right into the system, okay? It all came from him trying to escape. Let's see, what's another good angle for that one? This one, you think? Let's try that. All right. So, we're in guard, ratchet, 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 lock, attack, sink it in. I'm going to release and start creating a lot of pressure on the arm. He then posts up with the inside knee. That's a problem. So, I'll move my leg so you can see. The bottom leg is going to come out and lace on the hip. So now it'd be like this. This one, the top leg is now gonna lace under and catch his leg. And I'm gonna lift up so that way his weight is on his hand. This allows me to kick and pull through into my position. Let's do a little bit that way. Now, I can lift up with my hips, not your hands. Create a foot lock system or attack any way you want, okay? So as I said before, there is a rolling arm bar. There's also omoplatas. Omoplatas actually just using your head sometimes. There's a couple of other series that work really, really well with this system, but it is a wonderful system for controlling the back. For controlling the guard. If you're someone who's not well diverse in playing guard, this is a good system to use to control the person for not allowing them to at least pass or break your guard. If you are good at the guard, you're really good at holding guard, things like that, but you may have trouble with arm bars or triangles, the common attacks that you see, this is a good system to use to help lock the opponent down and manipulate them and basically let them pick their poison. You kind of decide how you're going to submit them depending upon how they move. So I hope this helps out.